Good morning. Welcome, recovery friend. We're going to do Courage to Change this morning. It's February 23rd. Let's get right into it. Even as a child, I had grown up responsibilities. So it is no wonder that I grew up to be a caretaker. It seemed so comfortable, so automatic to think of others first and to give myself completely to whatever crisis was at hand without thought of myself. When I became aware that this was not one of the most admirable traits, but was instead a form of self-destructiveness, I was horrified. I set out to wipe out all such behaviors and attitudes. I was determined to become a self-involved and as uncaring as possible. Fortunately, I failed to make such a radical change. Today, years later, I am still a caretaker, and I probably will always be. But now I consider it a valued characteristic, a gift of an upbringing that can greatly enhance my life if I don't carry it to the extreme. Although I no longer do things for others that they could do for themselves, I still try to be nurturing to them as well as myself. Al-Anon helps me to find some balance. All right, here's the daily reminder part. Today's reminder. Today, I will not try to condemn parts of myself while accepting other parts. I am composed and I love myself best when I embrace all that I am. And here is the quote. My imperfections and failures are much a blessing from God as my success and my talents, and I lay them both at his feet. All right, so this part reminds me that I remember feeling like I didn't fit in childhood, that I was the firstborn, so so I remember being the responsible older brother, and I remember because my dad was and still active alcoholic. I remember going to parties just constantly, every weekend, sometimes during the week, going to like restaurants that were bars as well, and just living in those while all the adults were getting drunk. And I just remember not feeling like a kid. I remember feeling like an adult, having to take care of my dad when he was drunk and acting stupid and acting weird. I just remember feeling like I was a caretaker of this adult that was huge to me, right? When I was a kid, I was like, this person's huge, and I'm having to take care of him. I'm having to drive his car down the street because he can't drive as a kid. And so I remember taking that caretaker role on pretty quickly, and it being something that the caretaker role was something that was sort of imposed on me, just like it says here. But I never really thought I had a choice. I never really considered it a choice. Now sometimes when my kids, they say they don't want to do something, they don't want to clean the house, or they don't want to clean up their own mess or whatever, I'm like, how did you know you could actually have a choice or a say in this? This is weird. I would never have said that. I would never even have dreamed. I would have been terrified to say that to my parents. Um, but it's just a completely different paradigm. Um, there's lots of different things going on. All right, so the last part was talking about parts of the self. So there's lots of different parts of myself. There's lots of different parts of us metaphorically. Um, there's parts of me that um, that that I don't want to show others. There are parts of me that are failure part. There are parts of me that I would like to hide and lock away. There's parts of me that have weakness that I don't want to let run the show. There are parts of me that I consider negative, and there are the good parts as well, the courageous parts, the outgoing parts, the strong parts. There are lots of different good characteristics that I have as well. And I think it's important to embrace the failure parts, and what gets me through that is remember that I'm human and I'm limited, and I'm imperfect. I worship the perfect one. I'm not the perfect one. God is the perfect one. And so I don't need to be perfect, and I rely on my friends and family and people in recovery to pick up the slack where I have failures, and I'm not as good, and I can trust that that's enough to make it through the day, and that I'm not people's saviors as well. I'm not the savior of my family. I'm not the savior of anybody, and I don't need to take that role. Do I still help people out and sometimes go far beyond caretaking in a way that starts to get more into the problem, of coming from a family of addiction. I fall into it, but I'm aware of it now, and working on it day by day. All right, y'all. I will see you soon. Later. Bye. Thanks for coming.